Okay, we'll call to order the Lamberton City Council regular meeting, City Hall electronic phone, Tuesday, October 12th, 2021 at 7 p.m. First thing is additions or deletions to the agenda. We've got 2021-37 that we'll just add to the bottom down there right before adjournment. Anybody have anything else to add or delete? We'll take a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Make a motion. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Agenda accepted. Okay, consent agenda and general business. I'll take a look at the minutes.
Make a motion to approve it. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes on September 13th, September 27th, and July 12th EDA meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's accepted. Petitions, requests, and communications, citizens' complaints or comments. This is where if you want to.
About an hour and a half ago, Brian Kearns threatened me. I was putting down garden edging and mulch in the area next to, between our properties. And he said, if you play effing games, you'll get effing toys or prizes. And he got in his pickup and went and got his yellow camper thing, whatever, and parked it right in front of my property. And when I was coming here tonight, he had moved his yellow pickup right behind my driveway, you know, across the street. And then he had his gray sedan parked right along the boulevard of my property. And then I had an incident with his son this weekend. Their dogs are on my property multiple times. And the son's dog was pooping on my property. I took a picture, I went out with my video camera, and so the dog was there, the son was there coming towards me, and the dog. And he said, Duke. Duke didn't move. Duke, get out of here there. And then he left. And I said, he was pooping over here. He said, he wasn't over here. I said, it was right here. He said, he wasn't over here. I said, I have this written down. I said, well, I have it on my camera. And he said, I don't believe you. May I see it? I said, no. He said, why not? I said, because of the way you're talking to me right now, I just don't think it'd work out well. And I turned and walked away. And then today I found the dog poop. I couldn't find it right then, but I did today, and it's still there. So he threatened me. He made good on it by immediately parking his thing in front of my property and moving his pickup. And fortunately, there's a city council meeting tonight, and I can let the police know and the city and the community. Because he's alluded to, I said, what else do you have in mind? He said, you'll see. And then later I asked him about it because I couldn't remember the saying. He said, I didn't say anything. So both he and his son tend to deny the facts. When I go to church, both dogs were on my property. I have that on video. I can back up what I'm saying. Like I said, the dogs are on the property multiple times, and it just so happened that I chronicled it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I am a born-again Christian, and I know you folks are church people, and I'd appreciate your prayers. Thank you.
Home after the meeting, I can come over and look at those videos and stuff.
Pardon me?
You'll be home after the meeting, I can come over and look at your videos and stuff, whatever you have.
I'm open to that. There are other people who want to hear from me. Are you gonna stay through the whole meeting?
That's, how it goes here, I guess I don't know what I'm.
Okay. Okay, yes, that's fine.
That's the course of action to take is, the police. We're pretty limited on what we can do as a council, but.
Well,
So just make sure you get it with the
Yeah.
police, and
Mayor,
that's the right
I
way.
don't think that it helped when you addressed me during my hearing and said, I don't know why you want that big of a fence anyway, or something like that. I don't think it helped, and I don't think it helped when other comments were made. I think that yeah, that's it.
Anybody else got anything for citizens' comments or complaints? Did we have one? We didn't have anything in the packet, did we?
I think you did.
Did we? Okay, and those have been referred on already, so. Okay, then we'll go on to zoning permits and variance requests, which one of them is kind of dealing with the public meeting at 7:15, so we won't deal with that one right now. And the other one I will let you guys address basically because it's for my building.
Well, the only thing I was wondering on this was, is it gonna do any blockage of the traffic when they're coming out of the alley? Because there's a lot of alley traffic there. When they're coming out of the alley heading north, is it gonna do anything with?
It, I suppose it will. But, it's gonna be where the, it's gonna come right off the back. Just so that everybody kind of knows, the shed is what I'm actually after this year. I put the fence on there because building permit's good for a year. And if I decide to do one next year, I'll have the building permit already. So it will a little bit until they get, to the sidewalk, but ideally they want to come up there and stop and look.
Right, yeah, well, yeah.
But
It'll be very similar to when you come out the alley here between City Hall and Kelly School of Dance, and the city shop goes right up to
to the
It's
sidewalk.
Sidewalk, yeah.
Or even when you're coming this way in the old community center,
right.
you've gotta stop.
Yep.
So it would be, yeah, it would do it until you basically get up to the stop there.
Yeah, they're further up now. I'll make a motion to let that one go through.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? And I abstain from that, so.
Thank you.
Okay, then we're gonna move on a little bit. It's not quite 7:15 in case anybody's coming here. So we will go to 2011 SCDP grant satisfaction of mortgage. And what that basically is off the 2011, I think it was,
Correct.
housing grant like we got going on right now. Basically, all of those loans now have,
They fulfilled their 10-year duration.
right, so it's basically just releasing those. They have to come up and file a thing with the county or whatever, but it's
We
releasing the,
We sent out letters to all the grantees from that. And more or less the letter says, you can send in your filing fee and we will arrange to have it recorded and send you a copy of the recording that it is now released.
Make a motion, pass that resolution.
got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that?
So you guys are doing the resolution right now?
Yeah, maybe we should just wait until we get down to the resolutions on that.
Okay, thank you.
2022 health insurance. It looks like in general, do the math, but it's about the same as last year, maybe even just a hair down.
It's overall, it's almost a 7% decrease, but part of that is because there are less dependents that are being insured. So it's actually overall, it's a 7% decrease, but if the dependents hadn't dropped, it would be just less than 1%. A slight decrease in rates.
So we just need a motion to accept that.
Yeah, to accept the new pricing and continue with the same plan that we have.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye. Aye. By opposed? Motion accepted. I don't think we're gonna start discussion on assistant clerk thing until after the public hearing here. We got about a minute. I know my watch was 7:15, but I might be there fast, so we will open up the public hearing now for a variance request for 202 South Elm Street, the Church of Christ. Anybody want to explain what you guys want to do, or?
About a year ago, when, right before COVID hit, or right after, I did a video conference with you guys and explained that we needed a ramp at our church. Handicap access to, and at that time, it didn't sound like there was a problem with the council. Donna was going to contact lawyers. And I was visiting with her. She said that they had didn't see any problem with it. Justin was down there. We talked some things over because he was worried about snow removal and snow on the street coming up into the ramp. Well, then COVID hit, churches slowed down and things, and now everything was it's been a while. We're back. We got the funds. In the meantime, one of the things was a permanent structure. Well, we found a metal ramp that can be taken apart if the city has to get into the boulevard for some reason. We have a metal ramp that can be taken apart and added. So I guess what we're asking at the church is to okay the new ramp system. It's a metal ramp that will go along the side of our church and to the front of our church.
And one of the things that we've got is that the Lamberton Church of Christ is in fact the oldest house of worship in Lamberton. They were built in 1889. And we're hopeful, when we have our centennial next year, maybe to do something in that we have the oldest house of worship in town, but we really need handicapped access desperately. We got a couple people who use it, who would be using it immediately. And that's what's behind our request.
I know when the building permit come last month, we were concerned about the steps going out onto the sidewalk, and I see you changed that to go out to the south of that, so. Does anybody else have any comments or anything on?
Would there be a problem if we had some of the steps coming to the south, to make it a little wider and things, or would you only want the steps going to the south?
I drove by and looked at it. The only thing I was wondering about is like for the existing it's about 8 feet from the edge of the building to the edge of the sidewalk on the east side. If a person extended just a little bit of cement out there, would that?
Well, that's what we're going to do, make sure that the sidewalk, people walk down the sidewalk.
Yep.
That there'll be cement there.
Yep.
And we understand that if the city has some issues where they can tear that up, we understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what you're talking about as far as coming, but our concern was we didn't want the steps out on the sidewalk so that if somebody's going down the sidewalk, they bicycle or wheelchair or whatever, they run into the steps or
We
whatever.
can make arrangements.
So,
Got remedied.
Yeah. It looks like you got a pretty good plan here though. So I think it.
Yeah, the actual variance is a variance for, in our development code, no accessory building, use or equipment shall be erected or located with any front yard within 6 feet of the principal building on the same lot or within a utility easement. It's not within the easement, but it essentially runs right up to the very front of their property line. So that's the problem with it, is that it violates the code there. But as the pastor stated, this house or this structure was here before Lamberton even had the lot lines drawn. So it's a unique circumstance in that in that their building is closer to the line, not by any doing of theirs, but just by the way the city was drawn.
What utilities are in front there? Is gas run under their telephone or anything?
I'm sure.
Water comes in from the north, I think.
I think the gas comes through the alley, I think.
Okay.
Sewers in the alley and waters to the north, yes, on
Yeah.
Second Avenue, yeah.
okay, any other comments? If not, then we will close the public hearing and go back to the regular council meeting. And then we can. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a good. It's a good way to solve their issue. So,
We're kind of limited.
Yeah.
We needed to do this
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think it's gonna look nice too. I know we had the other letter in our packet from,
In eminent domain, apply to this? Well, we appreciate you guys looking it over.
Yeah. No, and I think it does look, I'll make a motion, send her through if you guys are all right with it.
I'll second it.
This is another resolution.
Yeah, it's another resolution.
Oh, it is. Okay, all right. We can wait.
We're all on pins and needles here.
Well, and quite frankly, we can do it
If you
and
want
take
to
care
do
of
that,
it.
That's fine.
So it's, if you were making a,
Okay, yeah, I'll make the motion.
And if
then.
you'd like to do the building permit right after, that way they can know what it is.
Because weather permitting, they're ready
we
to
can get
start
started.
tomorrow.
okay, we've got a motion for resolution 2021-35 approving the variance for Church of Christ.
That was Daryl.
Yes. Somebody want to second that?
I second.
Julie will second that. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
By opposed? Motion passes. And then we will go up right away and we just as well, they've got the building permit for it then. So somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. By opposed? Motion passes.
Lamberton Church of Christ says thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, John definitely says thank you.
And John says thank you twice.
We can now get up to church without two guys having no all about the bed.
That's right.
Oh, you didn't have them sit outside the window or anything?
No.
We got a cherry picker.
They carried him in.
Forklift.
We appreciate it very much.
And there's quite a few more than John.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll get the coffee. Huh? Get up that is.
Just give them a minute here.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Good.
Got you going, John.
He'll visit a few minutes on this.
Don't squeal your tires on the way out.
Thank you.
You bet. Have a good night.
You'll do a burnout.
Okay,
Thank you again.
I'll be up
Thank
there
you.
later.
Madonna's completely out.
Okay, then we'll move on, actually, or go back. I think the next thing on our list was assistant clerk.
25 in your fields, if that helps.
I dropped mine, so mine are all out of order.
How did we come up with the assistant clerk?
That is something Madonna had crafted, I believe, a year ago.
Okay,
And I believe it had been brought forward a couple before and everyone said everything's working fine with the people home. But I'm not sure. I wasn't setting all the meetings then.
I don't remember that, but not saying it couldn't have happened that way.
I just gonna say, that, number one, I wanted to say thank you for everything you're doing and stepping in and everything that's going on right now. We couldn't do it without you, but I was hoping, and I know this needs to be addressed, but I just wonder if we should wait till we get the clerk thing settled when we get the new hire. Just to see where we're at with that. I mean, is that? Or I don't know. I don't know what everybody else thinks. I just, we'll be honest with you, if, when we get somebody new, I mean, I don't know if your duties here will increase or decrease, or, I don't know, and that's where I'm at with it. I just, I don't wanna. I guess I don't remember when we made the switch to this position or whatever. I know when Debbie was with the EDA, we made that position, and I'm not trying to take anything away from you, and I know it won't affect the wage or whatever, but I just don't know if we're ready to jump into having or creating this without knowing what we got coming yet with our new hire. That's where I'm at anyway. But or whatever else thinks, I mean, that's up to you.
I in general agree with you, other than the fact is, you know, we are still able to change anything anytime we want, you know, in general.
Yep.
So even if we okay this now and in 2 months we get somebody hired, or a month we get somebody hired and we need to change something, we can change it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
The primary reason that I'm asking for this is A, it looks silly when I fill out things and there's no title after my name. Or I can write maintenance worker, which makes 0 sense when I'm sending official documents to other companies and outside entities.
Yep.
Why is the maintenance worker asking us about our W-9s?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, no, and I understand.
logistically, it's goofy. I went to send out letters to residents and I'm like, Madonna, can I still put your name on here even though you're gonna be gone in 4 days? Because
I guess that.
why am I being billed by this city maintenance guy?
So I guess my question is, and I haven't asked anybody this question, is Madonna's through Friday?
That's her final day, you know.
So can we name you acting clerk?
I do not want that title, no. Because with that brings a lot of legal responsibilities that I've already told you guys multiple times, I'm not qualified to. No,
That was actually my next thing I was gonna mention too.
it's a statutory position that has a lot of very serious legal responsibilities and obligations that I don't even know about.
Yeah. And I'm just putting this out there, Nick, please know that when I'm telling you this stuff, but like, if, you know, we don't know, have we got any applicants in for this?
We got 2 people that were interested on Facebook. I messaged them and said, please follow the instructions and fill out an application, send it in as instructed on the website. And I haven't seen anything yet, so I don't know if they were just fulfilling requirements of unemployment or what.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Part of the reason why I bring it up is, you know, if we have connections or we have resources that could help you with that type of stuff, the legal stuff and the, you know, I guess that's kind of where I was going to is what if we don't have luck bringing anybody in, would you then stay in this position and like Vidal said, as the acting clerk, then with help? I mean, we talked about last at that special meeting.
I will do my best to keep the day-to-day stuff of the city running, but like I said, I'm not willing to take on responsibility for things that I don't understand and don't know.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's what I mean. I mean, if we had some, you know, like we said with our auditors or whatever, to come in and make sure that part of it's done right, you know. I just don't know where we're gonna, you know. I don't know.
And that is an option. I'll tell you this, they're gonna charge you an arm and a leg to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I don't doubt it. I mean, it's gonna cost us one. The other question I was gonna ask you too, I wrote this, I was brainstorming today, but like for your water and wastewater license, do you still carry them?
I think one of them is still active, the other one is, although the other one passed up when it ended last year. I could probably get it back if I needed.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things I wanted to mention. I think it'd be a good idea to keep them, whether you're maintenance or whether you're in the office. The more licenses we got, the better. And I mean, if you got to do continuing ed, go for it, you know, whatever it takes to get it back. And if you make a few phone calls, I think you can get it back. I know how hard those tests, I know how limited those are out there floating around right now. And I think we got to keep everything. I know Justin's got his and Tim's got his, but it doesn't hurt to have the third set. So I would just, you know, encourage you to try to get the continuing ed that you need. I mean, right now I know it's going to be tough with you being by yourself or whatever, but I just think it's important to have somebody come. So we got our bases covered multiple times. And then that, what else did I write down? I scribbled there a little bit. I guess that's kind of where I was at. And I'm just trying to look down the road here, because like I said, we're so unsure of what's gonna happen right now. That's why, but I guess if, like Lydell said, if we could, give you some kind of a title for now and just see what happens too, but.
I guess I'd probably prefer to wait and see what happens with the new clerk as well. I know we can always go back and undo it, but it always seems harder to do that or doesn't ever get done. So I guess I'd rather just table that at least until we get somebody hired.
The one thing it does is, like he said, he's gonna be sending stuff out at least the next 3 weeks or a month. And
City of Lamberton, do you have to have a title?
suppose you don't.
I think everybody probably around here knows, but I mean, I think if you just City of Lamberton would be sufficient. But that's just my opinion. I don't know, you guys.
Yeah, I guess if it doesn't affect pay and steps and grades and stuff, I don't see a big hurry to do it either. In general. I would assume everything is gonna stay the same, but just never know about who you hire, I guess. Might not like you. Thoughts? Anybody wanna make a motion or not make a motion or table it, or what do we? Table it until we see what happens with the new one who comes in, if anybody does.
Maybe we could talk about it again on the 26th when we have our meeting. Is it the 26th? We have a meeting?
I think if we're gonna wait, we just wait then.
Yeah,
We table it until we get somebody hired. That's basically what's being said here. Either do it or don't.
no matter.
So we'll lack a motion, we'll table it. Okay. Red Rock Central Land Purchase Request.
That Justin and all, did they CC you?
Oh, okay.
I know I had just seen that.
Yeah, I keep flipping them over and I was.
And basically, they're not really making a proposal or anything.
No,
They're
I was under the impression that he was gonna come tonight, so that's all we had from him.
My general opinion of this is I don't see why we wouldn't want to sell it to them if we can
I have no idea that's.
come up with an agreement. I mean. That stuff is doing us real no good out there, and if they're gonna put it to use,
I think the idea is to.
We mow that, yeah?
It's probably here.
I would just, we mow that, I would assume.
You can kind of see where the mow style changes in the picture. At the end of those trees in the center.
I just was wondering how far up they want to come,
Yeah, and I don't know, but
This is all the
It's-
information I had. so-
basically all they're asking us is if we're interested in selling to them, and I guess the thing I would just instruct Nick to do is tell him yes. Unless somebody's, I mean, we can't vote on anything, we're not,
Right.
they haven't given us
We don't have
anything.
any information.
And they're not gonna
But-
know until after the vote anyway, so.
Well, it kind of sounds like they're gonna do this either way, but I don't
So our
know why they
response is,
would,
yes,
but
we'd be willing to sell property to the school if they needed it.
yeah.
I wouldn't make the commitment. I would just say, yes, we're still interested in talking about that.
To per an agreement.
Yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
work something out, but yes, we'd be interested. So
Okay.
to me, that's good enough for that.
You can respond to Mr.
Okay, then we go to surplus property bid, 310 Sixth Avenue West.
That was the Pink Castle
Yeah.
house was, okay.
And basically, you know, we come up with, when we're selling these lots and stuff that we wanted somebody to build. I think it's a minimum of 35,000. Does that sound right?
Yep.
On these within 2 years. Yeah. And he's basically asking for 3 years. Which I don't really see a problem with. You know, if we have the contracts drawn up, any contracts
I
for
don't, I
that, so it
don't
would
think
have to
we've
go
drawn
through the
anything up
city
yet, so we
attorney.
have to go through the lawyer and.
I think it's gonna be case by case, and that would be the general outline.
It doesn't sound like it would just be possible, but it would stretch it to that 30-year, right? To build, I mean, they possibly would have a structure sooner.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it myself, but. You don't want to hold on to that for nothing, do you?
Oh, if somebody's interested in it,
Yeah, and
something there, I would
Yep,
let it go.
yeah.
And I'm sure that we're losing money basically on from what we paid and had the house tore down and everything, but it's,
Getting it back on the tax.
gets it back on tax rolls and hopefully we get a new house sitting there in a few years, so.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you guys just want to make a motion for me to go through with starting the process with the lawyer.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye. Aye. By opposed? Motion passes to start the sale on 310 Sixth Avenue. Okay, department reports. Maintenance,
Not a whole lot.
good.
They're gonna be coming in patching here next week or two. And it's just gonna be, you know, the normal stuff, and then we'll hit Main Street behind the school and then a few other potholes in town. Been working on sweeping leaves, got to flush hydrants here. And sewers before it frees up, so. It's kind of the main thing that we're going after right now, so.
Did you see the pictures and the complaint from that sidewalk with the tree thing down there on Main Street? Right across from me. In the funeral home, there's a section tore out and then there's, the tree is popping the cement up there.
It's the section kind of by,
Rich Weber's house.
Yeah.
And who owns that lot? Did anybody?
I only don't think-
it's somebody out of town.
Yeah, it's out of town.
We've had to mow it.
A couple times a year,
Yeah,
every summer.
so it's one of them, I don't know who it is, it's one of those deals that they found on the internet and bought it to make money on it.
Do we usually go? I know we've dealt with these sidewalks popping up a couple times since. Is it a 50/50 is kind of what
That's
we've
how we
done?
have done it prior.
But that tree is right there. I mean, we're either gonna have
That
to
tree's gonna
move
have to
it.
go, because it's just gonna be up again, because it's a maple, and if I'm thinking. it's gonna get maple,
Yeah.
the tree's gonna have to go if we're gonna stick it. That's my recommendation,
Mhm.
but
We did.
you're gonna have to send a letter to that guy. I mean, it's gonna be a hoopla to get you 50%, because
We we need to be consistent about how we apply this. I had a resident the other day come in asking if the city would remove her boulevard tree because she's concerned that it's over top of her house, and if high winds, it might damage her house. And I said, ma'am, that's not, the city will remove it if it's causing a problem with these city utilities or the city street, but if it's just,
Yeah, and that's what we've done it before.
right,
We remove the reason that there was an issue, you know, whether it's curb and gutter or.
but it has to affect the city service, not just the residents' preference.
Right.
Right, but this is a clear safety issue here
Yeah.
too, with the sidewalk.
Somebody
So-
gets that, they're gonna be.
And we've actually done this before, right down the street here someplace, didn't we, where we,
Yeah, we did it when we did all that curb and gutter here last year. And there was one section of curb and gutter and I was gonna rip the tree out. Because we're gonna redo the gutter and the resident said, no, don't take my tree out. Then you're paying for the curb and gutter and they ended up paying for that section of curb and gutter. Like, well, whatever, that's fine. So I mean, this is consistent, on money in it, we're gonna mitigate the hazard. You know, so. But what I'm getting at is to get the 50% for the cement work. I don't know how we're gonna go about that.
All else fails, you just assess it to the property.
Right, but you're gonna have to go through the request, then send it out in the second request, and
It's
All
a
that.
bunch of hoops, yeah.
it's, so, I mean, it's,
We've got other people that we're in that boat with.
so. Am I supposed to just get it done? and
well,
deal with it?
I guess we're gonna decide that here. So-
Well, that would be my question, I guess.
The only problem is that there is a lot of foot traffic on that sidewalk, you
Oh, yeah.
know, where it's
No,
at. And
But the problem is the city, it's not the city sidewalk.
right.
It's the city's responsibility to enforce the sidewalk ordinance. That doesn't mean that the city necessarily pays for it.
Because there's
There's,
one right over here too, by the bakery where that, tree used to be, there's a spot missing there too that. Should get.
Right. If we start replacing sections of sidewalk that aren't the cities, that opens up a big can of worms, huge.
So I don't know what to do there.
I guess I would say maybe start with the homeowner or the property owner and see where you get, I mean, that's where we gotta start. See where we go from there.
I think,
If there's any correspondence with them.
in my opinion, it should go through the ordinance process. And then eventually there's a payment, and in that case, it would be the city installing a sidewalk and charging the homeowner.
We don't have a sidewalk policy, what do we?
Yeah, yep, she even quotes it in there. When there exists a condition on private property, this is Article 22. That is harmful or dangerous to the health, morals, or safety of any considerate number of people. The homeowner needs to take care of it if it's on their property. Like, you can't leave a big open hole in the middle of your lawn.
Right.
Same idea. It's a hazard on a public walkway.
But with that being said, I still, city's gonna take that tree down. It's just gonna cause the issue again. It's creating a hazard.
Yeah, it's not gonna, it's
Is it
gonna,
damaging the street?
yeah, it is. You say that, yeah,
Well, that's the test is if it's the city's problem.
It is pushing that curb and gutter up.
Right.
I mean, it's typical mail.
Like I said, I just hate us to set a precedent that we're gonna replace someone's sidewalk, and then Lydell's house, his sidewalk sucks at his house too. So does the city pay for that too? It just,
No,
it's a slippery
yeah.
slope.
I mean, I get you on business.
Well, then start with the ordinance, I guess. That's probably the better way to do it. There'll be correspondence with the owner then.
So with that being said, then we wait to fix it or we fix it right away?
Well, if you're gonna go the ordinance way, you gotta wait.
I mean, I could put a couple cones now. I could put gravel in it, you know.
For the kids.
Yeah,
The timeline on that, Chuck? If we go
45
through-
days, isn't it?
Is it 45 on abatement? Or up the ordinance
We were on
process?
45 days, correct?
Yeah.
On the junk stuff or whatever. It is.
But I believe it's a minimum of 30 days.
It would help if you spray painted it yellow or something and
Well, we
left it
can-
as is, or you want to put something in there? What, I mean, what do you think?
Well,
We're just throw some gravel in there. Temporary, I mean,
well, like, this isn't all gonna help though, because it looks like there's actual divides in the sections of concrete too.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing is get the ball rolling on it and, you know, give them a violation or whatever you do, the ordinance thing and get it rolling so that if it comes down to it, we can get somebody to take care of it and get it out of there if they're not gonna do it. And at least then, if I remember right how we did it in the past, then half of the tree removal would basically go with them too. Isn't that what we did, or did we just do the sidewalk? Okay, we paid for the whole tree.
depending on what size of tree it is, we can drop it.
I think that's a pretty big one.
Consider that.
That's a pretty big one, I think.
That one is probably
It's huge.
curb to sidewalk.
Yeah, it's a big one.
That'd be Johnny.
Yeah, so. Well, anyway, let's get the ball rolling on it. Figure out how to give them a letter or whatever and get it rolling and I don't think we need anything for that as long as it's starts to get pursued. You got anything else on your report then? We want to make a motion to accept the maintenance.
I'll make a motion.
Motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. By opposed? Maintenance report accepted. Ambulance.
I really don't have much.
You probably all saw it. I got the letter in the paper and on social media to try to help with our recruitment efforts and kind of let the city and the public know the status of the service. I know we talk about it a lot in here and at our service meetings. Sometimes the public doesn't really realize how desperate we are for help. And we're kind of out of ideas for recruiting. I mean, we've tried everything the crew could think of. So that being said, I am meeting with 3 new members tomorrow that are starting their class on the 22nd. All 3 of them currently work at the nursing home. So depending on schedules and their staffing, that may help with the daytime issue. It's not going to be anything immediate. It'll probably take a good year to get them onboarded and through the class and comfortable with going on calls, but it's a start. So if the crew we have can hang on and we don't lose anymore, I think we'll maybe be able to sneak by. Wabasso covering the day calls is going very well. Their director has been in touch with how things are going. We just have to remember it does add additional workload to their service. A lot of their daytime crew come from Johnny Craft, and that worries me a little bit if Johnny Craft is going to kind of put their foot down and say, hey, we can't let these guys go when they're gone for 2 to 3 hours for a call, where they used to be gone for 45 minutes. So keep that on your radar. Westbrook did hesitate a little bit on signing the agreement. They were worried about their staff. Same thing, having enough people to cover. Basically, when I told them, well, this is kind of our only option. Otherwise, if we fold, you're gonna get it forever. So, you know, I kind of just laid it out that this is where we are and we need your help for hopefully a little while and it's temporary and hopefully we can get back up and staffed. We've only had 1 convoy call at this time that they've had to cover and I haven't heard any feedback on that. And that's it. That's all I have. Is that anything for me?
Read your article, it was good, well written.
Took me about 5 hours
Yeah,
to write and 5 weeks to plan.
yeah.
So,
All right, somebody want to make a motion to accept the ambulance report?
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. Second was Daryl.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Administration, EDA, anything extra to add? That one, police. We got the report. I haven't seen Mike on, so we got his report. Well, you're here.
Been pretty busy trying to get some back stuff put together for county attorney with all kinds of stuff left out and stuff, so we've been doing a lot of interviews and just catch up stuff, trying to get that ready, but now it just settled, so that workload should be lifted from that. Any questions on any other stuff at all? Where
The apartment building down there, is that anything changing there?
it hasn't. I spoke to the city of Springfield's city administrator.
That stuff's at the end in your.
Yeah, we
communication.
got all that.
So we had a chance to look at some of that. That's what they did. They were having a lot of issues with a lot of their apartment buildings. And this ordinance and stuff that they passed, it worked huge. They had 1 out of 6 apartments that were compliant, and now they only have maybe 2 that they're having issues with, and they've taken care of the issues. What I've started to do anytime that we get a call or anything, I send a report over to Dan Turbis, so he's aware anytime anything's happening there. I think it's a place to start. I know some of you guys can look at. I know me and Nick had talked, and you guys are looking at doing ordinance stuff here in the next year or so. So I mean, that's something to keep in mind, putting in place is kind of a, a rental ordinance or something. So we have some control over.
I'm not very familiar with that up there. Is there some that are permanent residents?
There's, I believe there's 4. They said 4 permanent, and other ones are somewhat permanent, but they rent it through the.
Has to be.
It's more of a month to month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some construction guys are there like with their
Right.
VRBO monthly.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's 4 people that are Lamberton residents that live there, and then the rest are people that come on rent for a month, and they're from, well, last week I dealt with somebody from Hawaii, New York, Nevada. I mean, all over the US are coming to stay. And like I said, our call load has gone up dramatically, probably since the first year, that a lot, so. Well, like I say, this is something to look at, maybe figure something out, put this into the ordinance, so a guy who has some kind of control or something. I talked to other places that they fine them, if you get so many offenses, they make the homeowner start paying assessment to help offset the cost of the police department going up there all the time too, so. It's something to look at. I've got nowhere with public health. I just haven't done much. I've touched base with him a couple times and left messages the last 2 times, but he's never gotten back to me, so I don't even know if he's came and inspected it to see if they can even do overnight lodging, so. But
That's the entity that's responsible for them, right? Like in terms of licensing, lodging and all that, right?
correct, public health still make sure they got certain guidelines that follow, whether they're permanent housing like apartment buildings or if they're a motel or whatever, there's different guidelines that have to follow, and the guy from public health didn't think they would be able to fall into the guidelines without some changes to do overnight lodging, so. But I haven't dealt with too many this last month that were just there for a day or 2, but we had quite a few from Minneapolis that were coming down for the weekend and causing lots of trouble, but the ones I've dealt with lately now are more long-term, so.
Yeah, it's probably something to start looking at. My biggest concern with that type of thing is I know we have a lot of rental houses in town, but and they would kind of be covered by this too, I'm assuming.
Correct. So
But
Springfield was. they
not
were
necessarily a
also
bad thing.
Rental houses kind of turned into slumlords.
Yeah,
And this was one way that kind of prevented, because they still had to keep the residents up and take care of them, so they didn't turn into dumps and, you know.
and I remember getting the letters. I know Sleepy Eye did this probably. Time flies, but 6-7 years ago, they did basically a rental ordinance too, where they gotta get them inspected. I don't remember how often, but it's. Every rental unit's gotta be inspected and stuff too, so it's probably the way to go.
That way we have some kind of recourse when if we're getting called the same residents time after time after time. And I don't even know what's in that Valley View 18 units or something, maybe, I don't know. So it's never the Fort Lamberton residents that we have issues with, it's the out of towners.
Okay, anybody got any other questions or comments for the police department?
Other things, so. I've got some properties, stuff moving, RVs moved. So I've had dogs at large. And as far as like an ordinance violation for writing a ticket for expired tabs on the property, we have no fine schedule to. So if I write these people a ticket, they bring it in here, Nick has no idea what to charge them. It says, it talks about stuff, but then it says fine can't exceed $100. So, but there's no initial fine. So unless there's somewhere else that we can't find, but I think we even talked to Madonna, the only one she knew about was a snowbird ticket, and that was $50.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can write a city ordinance, but there's no repercussion.
Well, it's at least working a little bit because my neighbor's camper is gone.
Yeah,
I went today, so.
yeah, I told her, well, we couldn't find, nobody takes them. So I told her if we're gonna tow it, it's gonna have to go somewhere that somebody will take it. I said, it's probably gonna cost you $800, so you have to have it moved by Friday. So she called me today and said it was moved. And she sold it for $50. So I said, perfect, you made $50 on the deal, so.
It's better than spending 800.
It's tight coming through there with the plow, that thing.
Yeah.
The alley.
So it's working, but yeah, the
Well, you're right, though. We
stuff we can fix.
probably should get some sort of a fee schedule.
So,
Lined up for-
a fine schedule, whether
Yeah,
first offense $25, second offense is 50, 75, and then
right.
go from there. But I mean, we have no fine schedule for nothing besides snowbird tickets, which was $50. So it doesn't pay for me to write the city ordinance as far as dog at large or
Right.
whatever. I mean, they'll come up here and they can be like, all right.
And that's a lot of the reason why we're pushing to redo these ordinances and get them updated. And I think all these are good things to have in mind when we're redoing them. And bring in, and hey, this is.
Was that something we could maybe look into and adopt? Maybe at the next meeting? I'm sure that some cities around here must have.
Ordinance adoption is not a quick process.
Okay, well, we can start something anyway, and
It's
So that would have
a,
to.
it's a couple months process because you have to do
Okay.
public hearings with. I want to say it's 30 days notice for the public hearing, and then it's,
You have to give 2 notices and then, 30 days before. So
yeah,
if it's
it's,
something a guy's gonna do, it's something we should get figured out and maybe get a fine amount for the next meeting and have an idea of what you guys want to charge and then get it in place.
and
So
traditionally, we set the fee
December.
schedule traditionally at that January meeting, I believe. So maybe it's stuff we add into the fee schedule and.
do that in January and then February have the public hearing.
Mhm.
yeah,
Actually, like what Chuck had said, like the 25-50, so,
yep,
at least it's a little statement, and if it pinches a little bit or and hits them in the pocketbook, people are more apt to. I mean, it's
there's
not.
the 25, they're probably not gonna do much with.
Right, exactly. At least would be a start, at least to get their attention.
Right.
maybe.
Well, I know there's 2 dogs in town that are running everywhere. You see them.
I think they belong on the corner.
That red house, I
Yeah.
dealt with them 100 times, but again, I can go talk to him. I talked to him and he said, I'm not home. It's her during the day.
Mhm.
So last 3-4 weeks now, or 3-4 days, I've seen them tied up, so I haven't gotten any complaints, but that's the one in general. Like I said,
Yeah.
really nothing I can do besides go tell them they gotta tie their dogs
Yeah.
up, because
We'll bring them to Redwood,
I mean, I could,
let them play fetch with their dog.
I mean, that's something.
Thing
Whatever.
of it is, then
I-
if they don't claim their dog, then we're billed for
Right.
that. And
Exactly.
Correct, and when you take them there, I mean, I believe they have to go all through the vet check and everything, so it's a pretty hefty fee.
Mhm,
And
if
if they don't claim them, then the city's responsible for it.
Yeah, I would almost like to, maybe within the next couple of months here, get something adopted that we can fine them a little bit. It'll get their attention. Especially the second and third time around. They'll
Right.
make it, they'll fix it then.
And then the other issue is, I've been dealing with these people. Some of these people aren't taking it serious as far as me asking to clean their stuff up, as far as towing vehicles and stuff and starting the abatement process. I guess I want to know that you guys are all on board if we start doing this, so people don't come and complain to you guys, and then the next city council meeting, we're told to stop, if we're gonna start it, I think I got a few that are gonna
Mhm.
start getting towed, because I'm done dealing with them, gave them chances and stuff.
well, they've had 2 years, basically, 2-3 years ago.
Some
that-
of them have
That
now.
ordinance committee was first formed, 3 years ago?
Yep.
So they know, I mean, they
Yeah, I think
said
if we
there's
start
time, it's
doing it-
action.
If we start doing it, people will start complying pretty fast.
Yeah,
There's properties that, one property with 15 cars on it. They all have current registration. City ordinance doesn't have a number of vehicles on that they can have on their property, so as long as they're all titled and registered and current.
How about junk race car with no motor in it?
Where's that?
Across from our Savior's Church.
Mm,
That's been there long enough. His trailer too. No, we can't do nothing about it, but that car isn't registered, don't even have a motor in it. That should be
Yeah,
pulled out of there.
current registration, it can.
Do it.
Yeah,
As I-
as long as you've given them the notice and stuff and you dealt with them.
I mean, this truck over
We've done it
here,
before, so.
Yeah.
I've dealt with him, and I told him he had 2 weeks to get the current registration on it, or it was getting towed. And it doesn't even have the right plate on the vehicle.
Chuck, I got a call too today about that camper that's sitting on, is it Third and Grove? Apparently there was almost an accident today. That's kind of sitting close to the intersection. It does look like it's far enough up, but it does make it difficult to see. I think it's Third, it's right by,
Oh, right on the corner and
yeah,
Spearman's, or
Yeah.
fourth and, yeah, fourth.
And row.
Yeah.
And it gets moved
No,
once a year.
no.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're talking about ordinances, if we can have something, I get people come into town, they
Mhm.
stay in this and that, you use it. Like 3 weeks, I mean, that's a long time
Yeah.
for a camper to sit in one spot.
Well, they can park it in the backyard. There's plenty of room.
That's what I said.
They can park or just pull it up further.
It
wouldn't
be moved, but
Pull it up 5 more feet is,
it got moved, it got used one weekend this
Mhm.
year. And otherwise it's been sitting right
two
there.
by
in that
Leaf Fest or
intersection.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's-
Rock-
And that's something maybe you can just stop and
So
talk.
do they happen off the
Say,
street
you
in
know.
winter or no?
not during the
It's
winter. It's taken
gone.
out to the
Yeah.
farm.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
There isn't, I don't plow around any campers
Good.
in the wintertime. I don't think I ever have, actually.
No, but I mean, it's just 5 more feet up,
Right.
park it in the backyard. It's just, and it's just kind of scary because the daycare there and it's, somebody
Kind of
did
a blind
contact
spot
me.
there.
It's a scary
Yeah.
corner.
That's what somebody texted me today, that there was almost a crash there because, people had to slam their brakes on because.
Campers and mail cars.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
But yeah, even, well, that. It's, even if it's not a violation, sometimes it's just better if they move it or sometimes.
Correct. Like I said, it's that simple. I can
All it
talk
takes
to
is
them,
you
just
to
ask
talk
them.
to them and
Yeah.
most of the times they'll comply with it.
Correct.
So.
Well, like I say, that's something I've talked to Hubert about it and just told him that, we start doing it. We got the one over here, I gave him the benefit of the doubt and nothing's happened there. So I think it's time we just start moving forward and towing vehicles, and people will start becoming compliant when they hear it. And
Mhm.
No,
I'd say, 'cause if you want this all cleaned up before the centennial or whatever, 150th, you gotta get rolling.
Yeah,
The other thing is, my brother was gonna do all the cleanups and stuff, but he has since sold his house and he's not able to do them. So I did talk to, John Roguski, and he did them before. So he'd be willing to do them again as soon as field work's over. The first one was gonna be the one over here, right behind the police department, the ambulance garage there,
Oh.
Camp's place. Like, so, well, like I said, I think it's just time we start moving forward.
who got left in charge of that? Do we know?
I think we believe it belongs to the
The county.
county, so, and we sent them letters. No response, so.
I'm pretty sure it's the county, I'm sure. That's it. The other one is Hammersmith's down there too.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Mhm.
got, we went and mowed it. We mowed what we could, but
You can't even get to.
holy smokes.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to put your blade down too far on
Well,
someone.
you can't, I mean,
So is that something we have to send a letter and do the same
well, I
thing?
think he's had them prior, but
I think he's on the list.
I mean, yeah.
It's-
But you're right, yeah, it's time to just
Yeah.
But
start
you
taking
maybe,
action.
yeah, you gotta start again or
Something like
whatever. If you haven't been on this year's, you gotta.
There's a shed that's collapsed. in the
yeah.
backyard.
Yep.
I mean,
I
it's
mean, we
just-
got a bunch more here about houses falling in and stuff, and I mean, that's a whole different process, condemning a house and.
And the city doesn't have any way to condemn a house other than fire code, I believe.
Yeah, because we don't have a building inspector.
Right.
Correct, so the fire chief would have to go through and deem them unfit and unsafe and be able to condemn them and. But I mean, there's.
With that, you need owner approval to get in, right?
Well, not necessarily,
No.
because like even the Lingo one that they burned, when it was open, they got the ordinance violation a couple of years ago or whatever, because it was open. So they needed to at least close it up. So
So,
I don't know if there's a difference between like a hole or a window, but it's gotta be closed up, basically. So to me, that could be an ordinance.
so, and we have done some, when I worked Sibley, we've gone in, at a house that caught fire, whatever. They came in and condemned it, and then we went in. With it, they had hired an inspector. He came in, gave his report. We had a court order to say that we could be in there. The court order was left there, and then, they could come to court and fight it, and then the inspector gave his. So actually, I mean, you need the fire chief, I mean, just have an inspector come in and say, yeah, this house is.
It takes a while, I know.
And the hard thing is Lamberton doesn't have a building code, so what are they inspecting?
Well, you still can follow the state code though.
Correct.
Everything's supposed to follow the state code.
Lamberton actually did not they had the state code and they took it away. So I'm not sure that I don't know that we follow the state code.
I think you have to. I don't think
Yeah.
there's any choice. The
At
state
one
code
point-
is,
At one point in the old minutes, Lamberton.
state usually supersedes city though.
Mhm.
So they have a minimum code and I don't think you have
can't do
any
any
choice but
You
to
can't do any less than that.
to at least follow the minimum state code, because state supersedes cities usually, so you can add and do different things, but I think at a minimum, you've got to
Yeah,
follow
I'm
the
not-
state. I don't know exactly how either, but that's always been my understanding is, there's a state building code or a state electrical code, you at least have to do that, that's what I would think anyway, but again, so. Well, issues we gotta keep addressing. I mean, it's going, It seems slow at times, but you start looking at the houses that we've got done in the last 3 or 4 years or 5 years. They're getting cleaned up and they're getting tore down and they're getting, so
Come a
we're,
long way in the last 3 years.
yes. I mean, the Benedict one took 2 or 3, yeah, and it's taken some time, but we are moving. So, we got the letter from the guy or whatever on that it was more about the variance, but it was about the town too, and it, you know, it's not like we're doing nothing, so we're moving. It's just some of these things take time, so.
You know, we're getting a lot of complaints about feral cats and stuff, and we did have some get in the garage and we set traps, and I think we trapped 6 of them and gave them out to farms. They went to, people wanted them, so they went out to farms where, but we got 6, but what day was it? Monday was a beautiful day, sun was shining. The cats all over the streets walking. I was totally, I mean,
Yep.
I ain't lying if I said I saw 30 cats that morning.
Yeah, they do. I see so many up and down this. We got a little black and white one, but he belongs to him, but that's the only one that I, know of. Otherwise, a lot of them are just strays.
Yeah, we're getting lots of complaints. I mean, I don't know, but
And maybe, it's Bill Shaffron was our animal control. I don't know if he's still interested in doing it or not, but maybe somebody
called him
needs
one
to
day,
talk
he
to him,
didn't.
and if he's not, then maybe we gotta find somebody to.
like I say, it's a lot of, I mean, sometimes I come to town twice a day and check the traps, or then she'd call and had one in the trap, and Kyle would come in and grab the cat and take it to his farm or whatever. I had a couple other people that want to farm cats, but I think it'd be a full-time job for a little while.
Yeah, I think so too.
Cats.
The bad part is a lot of times they go out to the farm and they wake their way back into town too.
Farms further away, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't noticed them as bad since my neighbor quit feeding them, so.
Well,
I got
no,
about 3 or 4 that come through my yard all the time.
there's gotta be 10, 12 of them over at Jerry's, and I think I got 6 of them, so
We were having issues with raccoons.
I got some calls. on
I had-
Tuesday.
They were using the storm sewer system as a highway underneath the ground. We never had no rain. So they were just,
I set the
how do you
trap.
catch them? They pop up over here and then
Yep.
they're down over here. I mean, you can't catch them.
I had a guy call me one night, wonder if he could shoot him. I'm like, do not discharge a firearm in town, please.
Yeah, because I had one of them just down from me by the school one day here. You come right down the alley, through the yards and up the tree across the street. And I went,
Yeah.
there's some you don't see every day.
No, I had a lot of people stop and it's like, well, okay, so you keep an eye on it and yeah, okay, poke its head up and then you get out, all right, well, it's stuck in there or whatever. And next thing you know, you look over here, it's popping its head out across the street. Wow. Messing with you. They were just using it like a highway, underground highway.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
So anyway, I'll give, my plan was to give these people a call and say, I'm giving you a week to do some of the vehicles, or this date, we're coming in, we're moving them, so. That's just, like I say, nobody's, there's some stuff getting done, but not enough, so.
yep,
And I don't know if you guys need to make a motion to have John do the cleanups or anything, or.
I think we've kind of set that ball in progress before, so
But
it's
he's
part of our,
already done the work, done it for you, so I didn't know,
yeah, I don't think we have to, but
because he's set up as a subcontractor, I suppose, so you guys should be fine. So, but I touched base with him, he said he'd be willing to do them as soon as he's done in the field and start cleaning up some of these places.
okay, got anything else? Anybody got any questions, comments? If not, somebody want to make a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Report accepted. Library, we got a written one.
I'll make a motion to accept the library report as presented.
Second that.
Motion and a second to accept the library report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion accepted. Fire department, we don't have nothing, I don't think. Okay, then we've got the ordinance and resolutions and I don't know if we talked about everything here, but the transfers, seen those. The mortgages we talked about, the Church of Christ we already took care of. And accepting donations.
Any other questions on that?
Then you also have 37, number 37.
37.
Declared for
The
the month.
addition. I don't know if you guys want to discuss that or take a look at it or have any questions on it. I don't think Justin's seen it. I'm sure he's-
So that's across the street here.
Yep.
Now. So it would all be posted and everything, I'm assuming, like, because he said signs and,
I assume
All of that.
the whole curb and signs, yeah.
My question is, there's a lot of stuff that goes on at the blacksmith shop. We're limiting the parking there, you know, when they do their sales this in the summertime, there's a lot of elderly that park there. You know, I don't know that I want to see them walking a half a block.
Why do they want to do it?
well, what, I
It's hard to
don't
back
have.
in, get the regs back in the fire halls, the way I understand.
They shouldn't be driving a truck.
I understand that too, but I just hate to limit the parking, especially in that area. And
Nor,
you got the ambulance, you know, when they're doing something there.
I'm just passing on top.
Right, and I understand their concern, but I'm just.
Yeah.
I guess I would not like to see that be blocked off, but.
That's where I'm going to.
Well, they approached me to ask about it, but I said, I don't think it's my place to,
Right,
I think the chief should come and ask, but. And then,
Usually their cars are parked there on their fire.
right.
Yeah, well, and that's where they,
Don't park there.
Or when you come back, just move them.
Right.
If you need to
Yeah, I
pull
know
in
you're
and-
probably flying in or whatever, but I mean,
Yeah.
we do it on council meeting night. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, you guys got all your parking stuff on your wall.
I guess I prefer not to see it, I just think there's too much other traffic that
Yeah.
needs to park there and they've been backing them in for how many years? Now they probably got backup cameras on them now too,
They
so.
do, and then when we have meetings here, you know, when the engineers and stuff are all here. I mean. You know, they're gonna have to park down here.
Yep, and the
A
dance
lot of dance
studio.
moms
Mhm.
park over there.
There's this main reason they're not.
I mean, it's. I
So
understand.
that would limit a lot
why
with
they
that
want it.
historical society doing stuff too.
Yeah.
Well, and I have a feeling it has something to do with next door too. But, you know, it's one of those things of if you eliminate that, then it's just that stuff goes someplace else too.
Yeah.
So,
and that's been a rotating battle there with him.
Would- And this is a little outside the box, but would a time limit parking thing work?
well, that's kind of what I was thinking is, you know, you could do,
Parking or something.
yeah.
Something like that.
so
And who's
that it
gonna
can't-
police that? You know, 7 o'clock at night or 2 in and
Well,
you gotta deal with, well, they've been parked there 2 hours.
I think that would get rid of some
Right,
problems.
Or you say no overnight parking or something like that, but.
Maybe that would work.
How about we just table this for now? And talk to Tom a little more on this and stuff and.
well, and I think part of the problem is, like you said, but that person's also a member of the fire department, if they could almost address that in their own department.
he just moves it from here over to the other side.
Yeah,
Go into the parking lot and then I tell him you can't park on the sidewalk and they move them somewhere else and now we got a trailer over there
Yep.
stacking tires on. I don't know.
Yep.
Kind of like Justin chasing raccoons.
I
Yeah.
just, yeah. it's-
I guess I would make a motion for all the ordinances, resolutions with the exception of 37.
As well as 35 since you already did it.
Yeah,
Somebody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we've got a motion for the resolutions except for 35 and 37. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes, resolutions pass.
One other thing I kind of forgot about, just thinking now, talking about parking, but I know that we talked about, there's really not a lot we can do with the semis being parked over here, but last week we had 3 sitting there.
He is discussing buying a different property. So hopefully we can get that remedied.
We're getting lots of complaints on. But I just tell people it's city ordinance says they can park there, so that's,
I've heard residents and ambulance complain about that intersection being real dangerous now because that anyone coming out of those alleys, they can't see
Right, you know,
until they're in the
I know when
world.
I pull out of the driveway or out of the parking lot there, you gotta creep out, just make sure there's nobody coming from the.
Right now, it's legal, but I've been in contact with him and he's working on a solution. So hopefully we can get something done. Unfortunately, we did not have an EDA meeting today because of lack of quorum, or that would have been on the thing. So hopefully we have an EDA meeting here quickly, shortly. We've got a couple other issues anyway, so we need to. And I'm guessing it would be spring or something anyway, but
Cause I was gonna touch base with them, explain as far as if it snows too, but obviously you ain't gonna.
That's really gonna be a pain if we get a blizzard and hit the nursery and sit there.
and I've kind of discussed that on the phone with him a couple times and, you know, he's understanding, but he's trying to run a business too, and I understand that too, and if it's legal, like I said, just because it's legal, don't make it necessarily a great thing, but what do you do? You know, it's, so. Anyway.
The complaints I got with people see him coming down the side street and turning in there, well, they don't know he's not loaded or whatever, so they're like, well, we just had to pay all that money and fix our street, now these big trucks are running down, and I'm like, well, they're not, they said they're not coming into town loaded, so. You know, if they're not loaded, he should be fine with his weight on coming down those streets. But people just need to see what they think and don't know what they're looking at.
Well, like I said, hopefully we can get something arranged for him. It won't be short term, but it's being worked on, so. What's that?
Can you jump to C?
Jump to C, Department of Health violation list? Sure.
That's on that lead and copper stuff. Basically what it was is, I'm gonna find a letter that I gave to the resident stating that they had a high result. This person always has a high result. It's the tap that she takes it out of, because we've taken it out of other taps. Anyways, that's what that letter is referring to. I
Okay,
didn't send the letter back into them that I gave it to them. But I did give them the letter. She didn't have the letter either. She takes it and files it. So that's why I got the notice of violation. So I just wanted to
Okay.
explain that to you guys.
Okay. So we've kind of talked about the VRBO Springfield thing. Something we need to look at. All that.
thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Justin. 2022 budget update.
Yeah, but Donna's been working on that, and it's, right now, we've got a positive revenue of 77,000. Ideally, you want a balanced budget. Out of that 77,000, 60,000 will be going into capital improvement, which just wasn't known yet, because you hadn't gotten response from one of the department heads for their capital improvement contributions. So that brings it down to about 17,000, which is something we can play with and even out once we get closer to the final budget and where money's going and all that, as numbers become more clear. So it's just kind of a progress report on our journey to getting a final budget for 2022.
And then library budget update. You know anything about that?
Yes, I do. So the It's a one, I kind of pasted them all together for a one-page sheet, just so you guys can see where we're at. On their budget, they're at 227% of their operating supplies budget. They're over 100% already on library books. And this is as of the checks that we are gonna sign here tonight. So those weren't on her most recent tear sheet, because her most recent tear sheet didn't have the most recent stuff on it, because we give her a monthly thing and we pay the September bills in October. So this is after I ran the September bill checks. But essentially, revenue is at about 50%, which she's getting another 15,000 in I think. So that will go up and she'll be closer to 100% there. But the concern is the library cash balance. Her account, she has $1,600 to last the rest of the year.
So why has it been allowed to get, I mean, when she's at 50% and 75%, why are we even allowed, why? But can't we like stop the credit card or stop the authorization to use it? Or, I mean, if they're not abiding by it.
If.
It's closed meeting.
No, it's a public meeting. You can come in.
Well, I didn't know. I was just driving around, saw you guys here, so I thought, oh, here's my notes. I was gonna read.
You're late for that section, but.
I mean, can we just stop the spending if that's the case? Stop the ability to charge? I mean, if the person's been told that you can't spend anymore, you're over your budget, can we just stop the credit card? Stop the ability to charge that?
Ideally, the way you would do it is you would do it with a reprimand to the employee,
Okay,
because these are adults, not children. They
correct.
should be, and this is a department head. They need to stay within their budget.
Mhm.
And that's something that historically Madonna was uncomfortable doing, because she had her legs cut out from under her before when she tried to deliver. So she's brought this to you guys 2 or 3 times. Now I'm bringing it to you saying, this is a problem, this is a concern. What do you guys want to do with it?
Yes, I would have stopped the ability to charge, and then if we have to do an employee reprimand, then we do. I mean, I guess I got no problem with that.
I guess I'm asking for instruction on what you guys want to do, because I'm not the clerk. I have no. Right now, with Madonna leaving on Friday, there is no one that she reports to other than the council.
Maybe we have to bring her in, do a face-to-face and tell her she's gotta kind of curb her spending, because I mean, there's.
Yeah, because it's way over already right here.
Exactly.
I mean, I got no problems going to talk to her. If
Madonna, I know Madonna has been talking to her since June. In June, she was at 70% of her budget, and she said, you're only halfway through the year, you need to fix this. And for a few months, it cut down a lot, and now it's ramping up again, and I'm like.
Oh, then I think maybe the ability to charge or use a credit card or whatever should be just suspended as well. I mean, that's my thought.
I agree. Is that how she orders? Do you know?
She has an Amazon account for ordering. She does have a credit card as well. We pay by many different ways, by invoice, where we order and they send us a bill. So realistically, like, I can cut off her credit card, we can discontinue our Amazon account. But that,
Well, there again.
the problem isn't the credit card, it isn't the Amazon
Right.
account, it's the order.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, why did? I mean, I realize they have this thing on Friday and.
Most likely, all that's already paid for.
So the basic, what's costing so much money? I know it says operating supplies and postage.
Well,
What-
actually,
what
that's
is
not a
that?
high amount.
Well, it's $1,200 over the budget already.
Right. But the budget was only 1,000.
License and taxes, of course, wasn't budgeted much there either, so.
Right, and that's part of it is if the department heads don't participate in the budget process and just say, we'll use those numbers we used last year. And if anything changes, this year, we've done a lot more movies than we ever have, and that's why the licenses are all out of whack. Every time we show a public movie, it's $250 or $500 a license. And we've had how many movies this year? Historically, we've had 1 or 2 a year, and I think we've had 4 or 5 or 6. So it's just a budget management thing on the department head, and
I'll volunteer. I'll go down and talk to her tomorrow afternoon when I get back. And then I'm gonna invite her to the next meeting because I was under that.
But don't
impression-
invite her, tell her we would like her to be at the next.
Yeah, yep. I was thinking that's what we had talked early in the year, that we said at least every other meeting or something. So I will do it. I'll go down there tomorrow afternoon and talk to her. And then we'll go for, yeah, but I'll just have her be at the November
Mhm.
meeting then.
Yeah, because she can't. I mean, you just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, gotta learn to stay in our budget. And like you said, if she doesn't help with the budget and thinks it's too small, then maybe she should help more with the budget. So. Okay. Oh, I lost my sheet here.
so Daryl's gonna take care of that, and I don't need to do anything.
No, I'll just talk to her tomorrow. I'll let you know what or how it goes or whatever I can swing in.
Okay. Sandy, are you here for something?
Andy, hello, I am writing, now I'm here, so I want to write it. Okay, anyway, just wondering about the meat, is that getting torn down? Does anybody know anything out that sold or torn down?
The
Meat
plan,
market?
the plan is we had okayed to tear that down. And somebody is interested in it.
Okay, that's what I heard too.
We're having some trouble getting lined up with them and stuff. They had issues and we've had issues, and EDA basically is kind of doing that. So we've kind of told the people, LNS, to hold off on tearing it down until we know for sure. So that's kind of all we can tell you about that right now is.
Well, and that's, the main thing is a shared water line, which I was informed of by Grace. That was a shared line, but I really didn't, think much further than that it was a shared line, but then was told that it would be my responsibility to get water service to that building. Maybe the road, to cut up the road, and whatever it takes to get a new line to there.
And I think what the plan was, do you remember that discussion? Were you here for that?
I was.
You
there
were-
was-
Because we kind of decided that as long as, while they were tearing it down, we weren't gonna try to break that line or do whatever, but if they do happen to cut it, we were gonna basically allow you just to go back in and fix that line where it's at until
Yeah,
we
that's-
develop the lot or something, because we don't want the street and sidewalk and everything tore up either. So that's kind of, if it does get tore down, gonna try to preserve the line, I believe is
Well, I
what we had
talked to
said.
Ozzy and he said he could save that line.
Yeah.
I mean, if he,
And it would become an issue down the line someplace if something happened where it broke or did whatever, or if we come up with a development or something for that, or
would
somebody else
appreciate
bought
that,
it.
'cause it makes
So,
a difference. I mean, I'm hoping to have a mini museum there or just a gathering space for the city and just, just something for the city and I've got some of the signs and you probably know about the Lamberton meat sign, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, So I'm hoping to have something for the community, but I didn't really want to spend, I don't even know, potentially thousands to get water to it because it's gonna be a big investment, just getting a new bathroom, things like that there.
They should be able to cut it and cap it and then you'll still be good. So
Yeah,
shouldn't be no problem, I would think. And then it's
I would
going
think
back to
so,
it.
yeah.
So,
okay.
it's at least a short term. So,
Okay.
anything else?
Let me know and then inform me if there's any changes or anything or something, but yeah, there is a meter in there and stuff, so I'm hoping I can look up and work off whatever, however that works with plumbing and stuff. And then because the meter would stay the same inside the building, wouldn't it, even if you had to do a new line or what?
Your meter
That'd be
will-
more of Justin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'd just be metered however, so.
Yeah,
And there should be one in there already, so I don't think. there'd be-
there, yeah. There it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy. Okay. Does anybody have anything else? If not, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed, meeting adjourned.